One of the most exciting things for fans of any team is to watch a promising young prospect make the way to the majors and lead the franchise for years to come. And in this video, we're going to take a look at 10 young players aged 23 or younger who appear already poised to become the face of a franchise and become franchise legends.
Totally sports-esque. Major League.
The first young player we're going to look at is National shortstop CJ Abrams. The 23-year-old is perhaps best known for being the centerpiece of the Nationals' return in the Juan Soto trade. And Abrams faced injuries and some struggles during his short time with the Padres, and some of those struggles continued to start his career on the Nationals. But in July of last year, Abrams had a breakthrough. Through July and August, Abrams had an OPS of .809 with 11 home runs, including a 20-game span where he hit 7. Those 2 months alone were massive improvements from where he was in 2022, where he hit just 2 home runs in 90 games. Abrams improved his exit velocity and launch angle by plenty from 2022 to 2023, showcasing the reason for the power surge. Abrams still needs to show he can do this consistently, as he has some struggles at the end of September, but those 2 months should be enough to excite Nationals fans. Another huge aspect that should excite fans is his speed. With the addition of new rules, Abrams stole 41 bases, the 5th highest in the league, and the 93% success rate was the best of anyone with at least 30 stolen bases. Abrams' speed, newfound power, and defense that placed him top 10 in the league in defensive runs saved shows incredible upside. The Nationals are a team to watch out for, and Abrams along with Keibert Ruiz will be leading the charge. Up next, we go to Detroit for Tiger center fielder Riley Greene. Greene comes into this season facing an issue he has in previous years, and that's injuries. After being selected 1 pick ahead of CJ Abrams in 2019, Greene has missed over 100 games due to injury. Greene received Tommy John surgery in September of last year, but all signs point to him being ready for opening day. The Tigers have seemed to gone through multiple rebuilds in the last decade, and in being sellers again, the one player off limits besides Cabrera in his peak year was Riley Greene. Greene only played 6 more games than he did in 2022 and saw his numbers rise in about every category. He had the best average on the team and the 2nd best OPS. Of course, we're talking about a team that struggled to produce, but in my opinion, Greene shows the most upside on the team given his age and what he's shown so far. I think Greene will be a breakout star in years to come if he's able to stay healthy, and with the young core the Tigers have, and the fact that they play in maybe the weakest division in baseball, the Tigers could be back in the playoffs as early as this year, especially if Greene is able to reach his potential. Our next young player is another outfielder from a Central Division team with Jordan Walker. Walker was added to the Cardinals' opening day roster at the start of 2023 after a strong year in the minors, and he got off to a historic start, becoming the first rookie under the age of 21 to get a hit in his first 12 games since Eddie Murphy in 1912. However, the hot start didn't continue after he was sent down to the minors at the end of April, but was brought back up at the start of June. Walker started to make great strides at the end of his first season, with his best month being in September where he hit .304 with an .853 OPS. It appears Walker needed some time to settle in and has all-star potential if his September is any indication. And with the fact that Walker's the youngest player in the top 50 of max exit velocity, there's very high potential. Walker's weak spot has been his defense, and it doesn't help that Walker's not a natural outfielder but rather a third baseman with potential at first base. And Walker's currently playing in the shadow of the best corner duo in the majors. While the Cardinals seem to only sign starting pitchers from the 1800s, Walker is the player that looks like he can be a Cardinal great amidst a franchise that's had many. And in the future, if or when Goldschmidt or Arenado leave, it appears Walker will take over the position where he would be more comfortable, and his team, like the Tigers, has the advantage of playing in a weak division. Our next young player is one the baseball world became familiar with in the postseason, and that's Rangers outfielder Evan Carter. Carter was a September call-up, and what he did in those games put him on the playoff roster. He hit .306 with a 1.058 OPS and a 1.6 WAR in just these 23 games, and what he did in the playoffs was historic. The historic part mainly comes from the fact that he set a postseason record with his 9 doubles, but over these 17 games, he hit .300 with an OPS of .917, adding 8.4% to the Rangers' championship win probability, only behind Corey Seager and Adolis Garcia on the team. Carter's given us a very small sample size, but is obviously more than ready for the moment. Like Walker possibly taking over for Goldschmidt or Arenado, Carter is one who could take over for established players like Seager or Garcia or Austin Hedges. And with all this, it's no surprise that Carter's already the favorite to win the Rookie of the Year in 2024, with the Rangers' number 2 prospect Wyatt Langford not too far behind. Next, we have our only pitcher with Eury Perez of the Marlins. Just 27 days after turning 20, Eury Perez made his major league debut, and through his first 8 starts, he posted an ERA of 1.34, and through his first 11 starts, he had a 2.36 ERA, the lowest ever for a pitcher 20 years old or younger. Perez's workload was monitored close throughout the year, and an injury ended his season, but it was still a major part of the Marlins making the playoffs. Of all the players 23 or younger, Perez may have the most potential. The 20-year-old is just 2 inches shorter than Randy Johnson and averaged the 4th highest velocity on his fastball in the league. He has a slider and a curve that ranked among the highest individual swing and miss pitches, and his 28.9% strikeout rate was the 2nd highest ever for a pitcher aged 20 or younger, only behind Doc Gooden in 1984. Perez not only has Cy Young level stuff, but if he stays healthy, he has first ballot Hall of Fame level stuff, and when the Marlins inevitably trade him to the Yankees or Dodgers in a few years, his status will reach even higher. Next, we have a player who electrified the league in his first year in Elly De La Cruz. De La Cruz's first month in the league was one of the best stories of the year, and watching this guy play should excite not just Reds fans, but all baseball fans. He became the youngest player to hit for the cycle since 1972 last year, and was the first Red since Gracie Neal in 1919 to steal second, third, and home in the same inning. He also had the longest home run of 2023 in Great American Ballpark, American Family Field, Nationals Park, and Progressive Field, so it was a pretty memorable year. Though he still needs to work on his poor K rate, he defines a 5-tool player. His 95.6 mph average throws was the highest of any infielder. He had the 3rd highest max exit velocity in 2023, behind Giancarlo Stanton and Ronald Acuna Jr. And both him and Bobby Witt Jr. had a sprint speed of 30.5 feet per second, the highest in the league. Joey Votto even said, "He's the best runner I've ever seen, and he has the most power I've ever seen, and he has the strongest arm I've ever seen." So if De La Cruz works on lowering his K rate, he has sky-high potential. And as of right now, you can argue he's already the face of the Reds franchise in just 1/2 season. The next young player is a standout in a team of young players, and that's Gunnar Henderson. His unanimous Rookie of the Year made him the first Oriole to win the award since Greg Olson in 1989, after hitting 28 home runs with 82 RBIs and an OPS of 814, and the 5th highest WAR in the AL at 6.3. A natural comparison to Gunnar's Cal Ripken Jr., and comparing their Rookie of the Year seasons, Gunnar beats him in a number of categories. The Orioles are poised to be one of the best teams in the near future, and the sale of the team to David Rubenstein has given hopes to fans that they will spend. And with the number of young players receiving large long-term contracts, I wouldn't be surprised to see Gunnar Henderson becoming the next one. Aside from Adley Rutschman, who is 4 years older than him, Gunnar Henderson may be the most important asset for the Orioles in years to come, especially as the rotation receives much-needed upgrades. And speaking of long-term contracts to young players, these last 3 are those who have already received theirs. The first is the most recent one with Bobby Witt Jr. The 23-year-old signed an 11-year, $288.7 million contract last week, making it the largest in the history of the franchise. And as seemingly everyone agrees, it looks like it will be a great investment. His rookie season ended with him being the 5th to ever join the 2020 club as a rookie, and the most recent season made him the first Royal to ever join the 30-30 club, giving him a 7th place finish in MVP voting. As mentioned, Witt is tied with Elly De La Cruz as the fastest player in the league, and while he doesn't quite have the insane max exit velocity as De La Cruz, he's clearly shown the ability to put the ball in play more, and even after leading the league in caught stealing, Witt has the potential to be a member of the 40-40 club and an MVP. While we've talked about players who have the potential to one day be the face of a franchise, long-term contracts like the one given to Bobby Witt Jr. indicate that he's already the one. It's interesting to see small market teams like the Royals, among others, negotiating these kind of contracts, and ultimately is a good thing for small market teams, getting a player like Witt for a long time to come. And speaking of long-term contracts given to young players on a small market team, another of those is Corbin Carroll. The Diamondbacks signed Carroll to an 8-year, $111 million contract after playing just 32 games in 2022. And you can argue that it's already paid off. Just like Gunnar Henderson, Carroll won Rookie of the Year unanimously after becoming the first rookie to hit 25 home runs and steal 50 bases in a season. You can argue that Carroll faced more pressure than any rookie before coming into the season. Obviously, many rookies have faced an insane amount of hype, but no one has been given a 9-figure contract before completing a full season. And Carroll faced an insane amount of pressure very well, as seen with the stats that went a long way in the Diamondbacks making the playoffs. And that ability to handle pressure carried into the postseason, where he had an OPS of 773, and the same championship win probability added to Evan Carter with 8.4% in their run to the franchise's second NL pennant. The Diamondbacks found their franchise player as they seem poised to be a dark horse contender for years to come. And if Carroll is able to keep up the all-star pace he was already at, it appears that the Diamondbacks may have got him at a massive discount. And the last player we will talk about who is undoubtedly already the face of a franchise is Julio Rodriguez. It's hard to believe Rodriguez is only 23 years old, just like it's hard to believe Juan Soto is only 10 years old. While Bobby Witt Jr. had a 2020 season in his rookie year, Julio became the first rookie to ever have a 25-25 season, easily giving him the Rookie of the Year, and went a long way in the Mariners ending the longest playoff drought in American sports history at 21 years, eventually resulting in Rodriguez receiving a 14-year extension with a maximum payment of $400 million. His following season resulted in another Silver Slugger and a 4th place finish in MVP voting, though the Mariners ended up just missing the playoffs. Despite this, Julio is the most obvious choice in a player aged 23 or younger, already proving their worth as a franchise legend, hoping to bring resurgence to a city that deserves a lot better from their baseball team. And if Rodriguez continues where he left off, and one day takes the Mariners to a place they've never been, then he'll be right up there with other Mariner legends like Ken Griffey Jr., Ichiro, and Daniel Vogelbach. So after looking at the young players in the league who have the potential to be a franchise player or already are one, it's clear that the long-term contracts for young players will continue, and franchises can only hope that these young players don't go out looking for a cupcake.